Good morning, and welcome to today's episode of God's Grace for Single Mothers. Today's episode is making those limited resources work for you. I welcome you. If you're listening today, you are a woman, a single mother operating under God's grace, and God's grace is great for you. So I just want to encourage you, stay tuned as we look into some of the ways you can experience God's grace in the midst of your limited resources. Before we get started, I just want to remind us that you can take advantage of that 30-day challenge to a better me. Pick one area of your life that you need to improve and commit to doing something about it every single day for 30 days and see how that works for you. As I shared last week, I have been working on housekeeping, and whereas it's not really speedy, I can tell you there's been a great difference in the way I am responding to my housekeeping. The areas that I've cleaned up, they're staying clean, and I'm intentional about doing something every single day that I can. Of course, leaving days for rest, and when you can't help it, maybe by being sick or something. I also want to tell you that today's day 11 for me, and incidentally, I just realized that I can do more than one 30-day challenge. That means you can do several 30-day challenges together. So I am hoping after Easter to start to add actually one more 30-day challenge. And for me, I'm going to add an aspect of my life that really needs to be worked on. I love writing. I've been writing for many years, a closet writer. I completed a book about 10 years ago, but I also have serious OCD issues with editing, and I wasn't satisfied. I refused to release it to the agents to go. So I decided, but I never did anything else on it. So I decided this year, it was one of my things that I was going to work on this year to improve my life, make sure that book gets out and is at least in the market, looking for a publisher this year. So what I'm going to do is that after Easter, I will work every single day on one aspect of that book, whether it be a chapter or a paragraph, because I want to see it completed. The other thing I also want to say is I have noticed that some men come on this page and they start sending me messages. Please, I just want to say to you that the purpose of this group, of this page, of this ministry is not to advertise for or look for men. Please do not abuse the purpose of this group. If you are a man and you're not a single father, you're watching this, it's supposed to help you appreciate, respect, honor, and support the single mothers in your life. When you reach out to me and wanting to strike an alliance, then you are dating the lie that I have fought against, and which we as single mothers need to fight against. That just because you have a man in your life, that's what's going to make everything okay. That's not what it takes to be a parent. There are greater responsibilities other than romance in being a successful parent. And a lot of times society has not helped single moms succeed by screaming in their ears that the absence of a man is going to be a direct consequence of the fall. So please don't do that. When you watch these videos, go home and pray. If there's some way you can share this with a single mom in your life, go ahead and do that. But please do not send me those messages, okay? Thank you. Thank you for listening. So today we're going to get started on making those limited resources work for you. First of all, one of the things we want to recognize as single mothers is that a huge part of our challenge is finances. You will hardly find single mothers who are well-to-do financially. Is a challenge. That's because it takes more than one person's income to raise a family. Whether you have only one, it takes more than one person's income, because between earning and caring for a child, one person cannot do it, give enough attention to income earning in such a way that you're still present for the child. So a lot of times single moms always have to opt for the lower earning jobs, the part-time jobs, just so that they can care for their children. Typically, even married folks do this, but the difference is that when married folks do it, they split that sacrifice. So one person may be doing part-time, another person may be doing full-time. All two of them doing part-time together in some jobs helps them to keep afloat financially. So here again is a big issue. If you are dealing with financial poverty, it also affects your life as a single parent, where you live, the kind of things you can afford for your child, and typically the overall access that you have to good stuff for your kids might be education or stuff like that. So how do you make this work? Well, this is what we're going to deal with today. As single mothers living under God's grace, first thing I want to say to you is that we want to take a look at Psalm 23 verse 1. Psalm 23 verse 1 says, "The Lord is my shepherd, therefore I shall lack nothing." The Lord is my shepherd, therefore I shall lack nothing. What I want to say to you there is that it does not say that the Lord is the shepherd of all those who have a whole lot of money, therefore they don't lack anything. It does not qualify it. It's saying the Lord is my shepherd. If I'm a believer, if I'm the person who believes in God, the Lord is my shepherd. What does it mean to be a shepherd? The shepherd is the one who knows where resources are for the sheep to feed. And remember, a few weeks ago we talked about ourselves as sheep and how God causes us to stand on those mountaintops. Even though we don't look like the people who can do it, he causes us to stand on those mountaintops. Well, another characteristic of being a sheep is that the sheep is dependent on the shepherd for guidance, where to eat, how long to eat, when to move on. Another thing to consider in that is that if the Lord is your shepherd, that means that everything you have is by divine provision, is a divine provision. And what that means is that automatically you are accountable. You have to act like a good steward towards those resources. One of the passages that I really love using in demonstrating how we can do that is the parable of the talents that Jesus taught in the scriptures, where he taught about a man who had 3 servants, and he was going away on a trip, and one of the servants got 5 talents, the other one got 3, and the other one got 1. And the first 2 servants went and took their talents and reinvested them and used them to do something, but the other one thought, hey, what is this man giving me this for? You know, it's not, maybe it's not enough. Maybe, you know what, how does he expect me to make good out of this? And didn't do anything with it, dug it in the ground. What happened? The master came back, and the first 2 servants had wisely used their resources and resulted in profit, so that the master was so happy with them, he decided he was going to give them some more, a capital. But the one who didn't do anything with his resources, what he had was taken away from him and put away. So today what I want to say to you, that you got to start from where you're at. From those little resources that you have, we got to learn to how to use them wisely, and then you're going to see God maximizing those resources, making them expand, making them stretch. And how can you do that? Like I said, first thing to recognize is that what you have came from God. It's not from man. No matter how you receive it, whether it's through welfare, whether it's through the gift of others, whether it's through child support from the baby's fathers, your children's father, whatever. Recognize it came from God, and you have to be accountable. So how do you start being accountable? Using your resources wisely. First thing you want to do, that I've found out, any person who wants to be accountable towards their resources, you got to learn how to budget. What does it mean to budget? Budgeting means that you have to, every month, You got to look at how much do you have in your hands versus how much do you pay out. A lot of people do not realize how well they can use their resources until they start to budget. So a very easy way for you to budget is this. I don't know how much you make. Let's assume you get an income of $700 in cash and you get food stamps of about $200. That's your income. That's what you start with. You make a table. On the first part, you have the income. On the second column, you start with your payouts. And the payouts should be the important bills that you have to deal with. Rent, utilities, food, transportation, clothing, whatever else you need for your house. And then you have to stay within that budget. How do you stay within a budget? The way to stay within a budget is cutting your coat according to your cloth. Learning to shop within the limited resources that you have, learning to contain your desires within your financial ability. One of the things that is not right for us as single mothers is to have these large dreams that are bigger than our purses. And you're going after those dreams. What's going to happen is that you are letting loose some of your major responsibilities, like rent, like utilities, like food, like the appropriate clothing for your children. So you don't want to do that. One of the ways that you can contain your abilities, your desires, to make sure that they match your financial resources is to shop sales and to shop in places that the prices fit your pocket. I will let you in on a secret. I stopped shopping department stores before my daughter ever turned 1. When she was a few months old, when she was born, I was shopping department stores, and boy, I was really freaked out at how one simple outfit, regular everyday today outfit for a child could cost anywhere from $20 to $30 to $40. And they grow out of those things so fast. How then am I going to maintain it on one person's salary? And then a friend and a neighbor said to me, thrift stores, ever heard of them? Like, no, never shopped in thrift stores. Went there. And I learned how to shop in thrift stores by shopping the best, because guess what? The department stores take their stuff to thrift stores. Other people take their stuff to thrift stores that they have barely used. And this is my thinking. The minute you buy an outfit, whether you buy it for $1,000 or you buy it for $1, the minute you put it in the washing machine and wash it that first time, no one is going to know if you don't tell them where you got it from. And when you shop thrift stores, you save an awful amount of money in terms of clothing your children. We don't need to be clothing ourselves with pride. Whether you are rich or poor, you don't need to be clothing yourself with pride when it comes to using your resources wisely. The second thing that we want to be aware of there, I'm going to tell you this and tell you as a Christian, as a woman for whom it has worked for over 3 decades of my life. If you want to connect to God's grace, I want to say to you, learn how to tithe. A lot of people don't know how to tithe or don't want to tithe. They hold on to that little 10% that they could share with God. But the problem with that is, when you as a Christian person takes a tithe, you are saying to God, God, I believe you are my source. I believe that you are my provider. And not only that, you are responding to and recognizing the law of the universe that every resource we have is like a seed. And there is no farmer on earth who plants and harvests and eats all his harvest. He got to learn to set aside something so that he can plant the next season. Well, as Christians, what we do that helps make sure we're not eating all our seeds or our harvest is we put some towards the Lord's work. You are never too poor to tithe. It's for me, it's been a financial security for over 3 decades of my life. God has promises towards tithing in Malachi 3:10-12, and that's the one place in the scriptures where God actually tells you to challenge him. And I have found that challenge has always worked for me. In times of financial crisis, I shut my bedroom door, I got on my knees, and I brought that issue to the Lord, and I'm shaking, and I'm saying, God, I cannot handle this. I have gone through so much financial crisis, it's unimaginable, but each one, God has always made a way. So that's a challenge for you. If you believe that God is your provider, I challenge you today, wherever you are, wherever you go to church, learn how to tithe. Learn how to tithe your income. Learn how to tithe whatever it is that you consider your income. And do it in faith. It's not something you have to broadcast to people. Just do it in faith between you and God. And then watch God work through things for you. The open doors that God brings, the cutting costs down for you, sending people into your life to help you, you will be amazed at the miracles that God brings your way. The third thing that I want to say about learning to live on our limited resources is learn of how to take finances very seriously. Every time that Jesus taught us about the Christian faith, it's very weird that he always used a parable that revolved around commerce or finances to teach us that. And he said something to us. He said, these material things in the world, they're considered, just worldly goods. They're not permanent. And he says, if we don't learn how to manage them well, why would God give us greater resources? As single moms, it's easy to think, oh, there's nothing more I can do, or just spend my resources anyhow. No, but God is trying to say to you, with the little that you have, move from that level. How can you sit down and say, how can I move my life from the level that I am now to the next level? And that's going to challenge you a lot. And it's going to need a lot of discipline. Maybe you need to cut out eating out so often, because figure out how much you pay for that one meal over the counter can provide a full dinner for your entire family. One person's meal over the counter. Is that a wise way to spend resources? You take 1, 2, 3 children to eat out 2, 3 times a week? Since my daughter was born, I can tell you that I don't think we've eaten out up to 20 times. It's helped me to learn how to cook, focus on making good meals, and this week I will be sharing some of those pictures with you on the page. Go and see the simple meals that we can make that taste better than what we buy outside. And not only that, you are developing a strategy for your own child of learning to eat at home, learning to eat healthy, and you are going to be working against obesity. A lot of kids who eat out are the ones who tend to have eating problems. They're not healthy, they have health issues, and you have to struggle with obesity too. But if you're feeding your kids at home healthy, you're building a sense of healthy eating in them that's going to follow them for life. So I want to leave you with this today, and I want to encourage you. Pick up a book about learning how to manage your finances. Join a financial training class in your church. There are many, many programs. Crown Financial has a program. Learn to stick to it. Be prayerful about it. Be committed to it. It's very, very difficult. It's very challenging to learn to discipline yourself. But it won't be long before you start seeing the benefits of those disciplines, before you start seeing your life change, before you start seeing that you and your children don't lack anything. Despite being a low-income earner, you don't lack anything. I can tell you that for a fact. 14-year-old single mother on a very low income. We don't own millions, but we don't lack anything either. And that can be your story. If you learn how to live as a good steward with the little you have, use it wisely and trust God to make ends meet for you. Thanks for listening, and I hope you tune back next week, Tuesday, 10 a.m., to join us for next week's episode. And please feel free again to share your 30-day challenge. Thanks for listening. God bless you. Have a wonderful week.